Welcome back to the channel. I'm Colin and this is a review of the Kiwi Ears Airoso IEMs. It's a set of hybrid IEMs that retails for $130. The Kiwi Ears Airoso features a LCP and PU composite diaphragm dynamic driver and 4 BA drivers. These are quite sensitive and very easy to drive. I'll list the specs on the screen now if you want to take a look. Now let's talk about the unboxing experience. So here's the box that the Airoso comes in. Packaging is simple and minimalistic. After opening the box, you'll see the Airosos. It comes with a pretty nice zippered case with the Kiwi Ears logo on it. Inside the pouch, you'll find the mini jack 2-pin cable and the ear tips. There are 3 types of silicone tips included, with a total of 9 pairs. Quite a wide variety of tips to choose from. Now on the build of the Airoso has a CNC aluminum alloy faceplate. This tiny detail with the Kiwi Ears logo and vent here is made from titanium. The shells of the IEMs are 3D printed with resin and the nozzle is made out of some kind of alloy. I find the shells to be slightly smaller than usual. Here you can see it when compared to the Ziget Lush. The nozzles seem a bit wider than usual, measuring at 6.3mm at the widest part. The cable is a fairly standard twisted 2-pin cable that's terminated with a mini jack. I like that the wide split is very compact, so there's a less chance it gets caught on stuff. Comfort-wise, for some reason, the Airoso is a bit difficult to fit in my ears. Maybe it's the angle of the nozzle, but I really need to pull back my ears when I insert these. The passive isolation is quite good, once you get a good seal, similar to other hybrid IEMs. Here's the frequency response graph of the Airoso. I've linked it in the description below if you want to compare it to other IEMs I reviewed. The Airoso has a modified Harman tuning. It's boosted from the 50 Hz of bass region to smoothly blend into the mid-range. The rest of the frequency response follows the Harman curve quite closely. During actual listening, I find that the Airoso sounds very neutral and well composed. I don't really hear the mid-bass boost as the graph suggests. Instead, I would say it sounds a bit lean on the bottom end. The overall speed and resolution is very good though, for an IEM around this price. The bass of the Airoso is quite polite. It does not have the rumble, but it does pack a punch. The mid-bass comes and goes very quickly, so the control and the speed of the bass is great. But if you're looking for a heavy rumbly bass, this just isn't that. The sub-bass also has similar characteristics as the mid-bass. Hits hard and goes away quick. That said, the separation between the bass and the mids is excellent. The mids of the Airoso is neutral, not thick and not lean. It presents a lot of detail in vocals, but also doesn't sound sibilant. Has a good presentation of depth in the vocals, can accurately represent where the vocals are, if they are further or closer to you. So overall, just a very well tuned and neutral mid-range that strikes a good balance. The treble is well controlled and revealing. It's quite detailed, but does not seem bright. I think it is really well tuned. There's also a good amount of air and decay in percussion instruments. The resolution in the treble is good for the price. The soundstage width on the Airoso is just average, not particularly wide, but I feel that the soundstage depth and the center imaging is quite good on these. Imaging is also very good, if you like to pinpoint instruments. So to conclude, it has a good separation and imaging, but lacking in the soundstage width compared to the competition. I compared the Airoso to the Ziget Lush. Both of them feature 1 dynamic driver and 4 BA drivers. I compared them as I think both of them are good, relatively neutral all-rounder IEMs. Comparing the two, I find the Airoso to have a slightly forwardness in vocals. The vocals of the Lush sound slightly behind the Airoso, but in exchange, there's a much larger sense of spaciousness from the Lush. The bass also feels more prominent in the Lush. In contrast, the Airoso sounds narrower, but has slightly better resolution and speed. Then I compared the Airoso to the NF Acoust NA20. These are a set of $120 single dynamic driver IEMs that I'll be reviewing next. Listening to the NF Acoust after Airoso, the mid-bass and mid-range immediately felt thicker and warmer. The overall speed of the NA20 also sounds lower than the Airoso. It's a much more V-shaped sound and it doesn't have the neutrality of the Airoso. The NA20 is more of a fun bassy IEM, while the Airoso is targeted towards accuracy and resolution. I find it quite interesting as they are two completely sounding IEMs that have quite a bit of similarities in the measurements. I think the cons of the Airoso is not quite obvious. In general, I think they are a good set of all-rounder IEMs, but I have concluded two cons I have with them. First, the Airoso doesn't fit well in my ears due to the relatively short nozzles. I really need to adjust the angle and fit it in order to get a good seal. I also found some reviews on Amazon indicating that they can't get these to fit. So I guess this might be an issue for some people. Second, the soundstage is quite confined on the Airoso. The soundstage is accurate and has good depth, but the width of the soundstage is lacking behind compared to the competition. In summary, I think the Airoso is a great all-rounder IEM. It does everything quite well, but there isn't a part where it really excels in. There also isn't anything you can really fault it for. So if you're someone looking for an all-rounder IEM that performs good in a wide range of genres with a relatively neutral sound, I think the Airoso would be a good choice for you. But if you're looking for a fun and exciting IEM that performs a particular way in certain tracks, the Airoso isn't that. So this is the end of my review. Please let me know if you have any questions about the Airoso. If you enjoyed the review, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you for watching.